For the past 5 days, brave men of the Indian Army have been engaged in what is being called the world's most treacherous rescue operation. At an altitude of 19,500 feet, soldiers, they are battle-hardened experts from the Siachen Battle School, from the 19th Battalion of the Madras Regiment. They've struggled against insurmountable odds to try and rescue a comrade in arms, a porter who fell into a crevice 130 feet deep. India Today's Rahul Kawal travels to the area of the Siachen glacier to report on the superhuman effort being made in a completely inhuman terrain. This is an India Today exclusive ground report.
At a height of 19,500 feet above sea level, half a dozen officers and more than 30 soldiers from the 19th Madras Battalion of the Army and experts from the Siachen Battle School have been attempting the impossible. For 5 days now, they've been digging into a crevice 130 feet deep to try and rescue porter Treacherous Gasket. On the 25th of February, porter Gasket fell off his snow scooter while ferrying supplies for the 19th Madras Battalion. 19th Madras is the same battalion which suffered massive casualties when a killer avalanche came crashing near the Sonam post just recently. Lance Naik Hanumantappa and 9 other soldiers who lost their lives also belonged to this very same army unit. The Paltan had just about begun to come to terms with the loss that they had suffered when another tragedy struck. India Today joined the General Officer commanding the Indian Army's 14th Corps, General Patyal, on board an advanced light helicopter to get a first-hand sense of the challenges in this monumental rescue mission.
You know, this crevasse is at 19,000 feet. And if you look at the dimensions of this crevasse, on the top, the length of the crevasse is around 10 feet. While the width of this crevasse on the top is 4 feet, but while you go down, this width keeps getting reduced. And you know, we didn't face much problems at the distance of 130 feet from the top, but the last 10 feet from 120 to 130 feet, we have taken 2 days because the width of the crevasse there is 1.5 feet. So this width, we have to increase the width of the crevasse so that an individual can go down and so that porter Treacherous can be evacuated, who is presently at 130 feet, and beyond that we don't know what is the depth of this crevasse.
Just a few weeks ago there was a very unfortunate incident involving Lance Naik Hanumantappa and 9 other Jawans from the Madras Regiment of the Indian Army. How has the morale of the boys deployed at Siachen been ever since that incident, which the whole nation and the whole world looked at so closely, sir?
Rahul, as you are aware, the Indian Army is extremely well motivated and extremely well trained. So when we get deployed into these heights, there's a proper training that we impart to each individual, which includes how to survive in these altitudes, which includes how to take various precautions that an individual must take. So therefore, these kind of altitudes don't affect the morale of our soldiers. We are extremely very well motivated.
It is here at the Siachen Battle School that soldiers of the Indian Army are trained for rescue missions at high altitudes. But the training they receive is nothing in comparison with the enormity of the challenge they face when they are deployed at the world's highest battlefield. Take a look at this crevice rescue mission to get a sense of the challenge involved.
Here soldiers from the high altitude school are practicing a crevice rescue. The Jawan right behind me has fallen into what is being shown here as a crevice. He is now completely immobilized and a special rope has been laid to try and evacuate him. You're seeing that Siachen Devils soldier come down and try and come all the way down till he's able to rescue this person and bring him up. This is exactly what happened in the case of Hanumantappa. This is also what happened in the latest instance where a soldier had fallen into a crevice. After laying a rope, they came down. The rope is laid very firmly so that it doesn't slip, and the soldier is able to come down and then rescue this person and take him up.
big difference between what you just saw and the rescue mission being mounted at 19,500 feet is that here the soldier fell into an open crevice. The rescuers know exactly where he is and what needs to be done to get to the stranded soldier. However, Porter Tukjay Gyasket fell into a crevice which was not only 130 feet deep but also bent, making it very difficult for rescuers to reach him.
You know, what's happened is very, very unfortunate. First, the whole avalanche incident, and now another of your personnel falling into a crevice. Can you tell us about how this rescue operation was mounted? What really happened on the ground, which ultimately led to one of your porters falling into this crevice?
Actually, I was just back from the previous operation in the Sonam. So just about a few days after that, in somewhere around 2:30 in the afternoon, I got a call from my company commander that one of the porter got fallen down into the crevice. So I immediately, rushed from that location. I went to the site, and all my troops got accumulated there. And then also we informed the higher headquarters and asked for the rescue team. That's how the rescue team also reached in the same evening there. And then we tried to recover the body. First, we tried to find out where exactly is it, because the crevice the crevice opened just a few days back only, and the crevice was breached day prior. So the opening was very narrow. You can say that the opening length of the opening was just about 6 feet, and width was around 4 to 4.5 feet. However, the crevice, as it goes down, it was tapering down, and we tried to find out the depth of the crevice. We couldn't find it out. Even about 350 meter, we put the rope down below. It couldn't reach the bottom of it. So that evening, we tried it, but we couldn't locate the body. The next day again, we were joined by the same day evening. We were joined by the rescue team led by Major Subhash.
So, Major Subhash, we've seen some crevice rescues, but usually that's somebody falling into a pit which you can see the person can be visually identified, brought up. Here you had a crevice which wasn't a straight crevice. There was a U, there was a bend, making it that much tougher. Explain the challenges involved and how you work towards circumventing those.
Firstly, when we get the information that our rescue team has to be launched, we are launched from the base camp that is on 12,000 feet, and then at the sport location that is on the 19,050. That is the big challenges for us, because it reduces our physical activity also. Then after that, on the first day, we are not able to spot the body because the depth of the crevasse was approximately 120 feet. But on the next day, we improvised the thing by putting generator cable and then camera. So putting camera on the video mode. Then from that only we locate the body. Then next on, we have worked.
We saw some of the images. The rescue continued even at night.
Yeah.
Even when it was getting very dark, you were sending bulbs in. There was a generator.
Yeah.
This kind of thing is never even practiced for, let alone actually done at such heights.
In fact, the depth, and as you said that it was a U bend. As you go down at the place where they were reaching, there was no light at all. So even in the daytime, we had to use the light. So we put the light, we used the generator and put the light down below. That's how people down below could work on that.
Very often, even getting to the place where the soldier has fallen into a crevice is a very tricky proposition. Multiple techniques are used to surmount the challenge.
Soldiers from the Siachen Devils are practicing a crevice rescue. They're planning to lay a bridge over an artificial crevice that's been created with the intent of training the soldiers on how to deal with a real life crevice. This is a make-believe crevice that's been put together. The idea is to get this ladder to go across with the help of ropes, land on the other side, and then get the soldiers to cross the crevice and then get to the other side where a soldier needs to be rescued from.
In places where the crevice is very wide and laying a ladder is not possible, a special zip line is laid from one point to the next to ensure that soldiers and supplies can reach the affected zone. Several major crevices in the Siachen glacier area are old hazards. However, every month, dangerous new crevices are also being created. The main reason for this is climate change.
One of the latest problems being confronted by the Indian Army here at the Siachen glacier is the problem of global warming. These mountains that you're seeing behind me are now only partially clad with snow. Earlier they were completely snowed out. In the lower reaches, the mountains have hardly any snow on them. Earlier, all the way down till the Siachen base camp, there used to be a full cover of snow. People posted here at Siachen tell us that the temperature has changed almost 10 degrees Celsius since the time the Indian Army was deployed here in the mid-80s, which essentially means that a lot of the snow which earlier used to be completely firm is suddenly not so firm and rather fragile. And when soldiers of the army are passing over that snow, it can give in, creating those many more crevices and those many more threats to the soldiers of the Indian Army who are deployed here.
For its part though, the army tries to downplay the threat posed by climate change.
The only challenge that we face is that new crevasses may get opened earlier than their normal schedule. So we have to bridge them because our going up and coming down depends on those routes where these crevasses are there. So therefore we have to bridge them so that our communication is always through.
You know, there are lots of people across the country who ask, is it worth being at this height? As the senior most officer in charge, you know, what's the message? How do you motivate your boys, sir, to try and tell them that, you know, it's very difficult being here? How do you continuously keep motivating them that this is something that we are doing in national interest?
We have to defend our borders, and for that, whatever it takes, we have to do that. And Indian Army by tradition is extremely well motivated and a very well disciplined force. So we face no problems whether we get deployed in these heights or whether we get deployed in jungles, mountains or in the plains or the desert sectors.
After toiling night and day for 5 full days, the team from the Siachen Battle School was finally able to pull out the body of Porter Thukche Gyasket. His mortal remains were brought down on Wednesday afternoon to the Siachen base camp. It wasn't the Pakistani soldier, but inclement weather which always poses the greatest threat to soldiers deployed in Siachen. But now, global warming has added a potent new dimension to the threat faced by the Indian Army serving at the world's highest and most hostile battlefield. With camera person Yogendra Singh and Rahul Kanwal at the Siachen Glacier, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, the National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report that the central government has removed customs duty waiver and also imposed excise duty on certain life-saving drugs.
पैसे वाले बाबू मेरा बजट बना दो, पैसे वाले बाबू मेरा बजट बना दो, बजट बना दो, बजट बना दो, पैसे वाले मेरा बजट तू